Every day, you wake up with a limited amount of mental energy, and most people waste it before they even finish their first cup of coffee. Your phone buzzes, the news screams, your inbox fills, and suddenly you're making a dozen tiny decisions before the sun is fully up. This constant pressure drains your clarity, your discipline, and your productivity. Modern psychology calls this decision fatigue. Aristotle warned about it centuries ago. To him, every choice you make shapes your character, and the more chaotic your decisions become, the weaker your ability to lead yourself and others. He believed excellence is not an act but a habit, and if your habits are built on reactive choices, you move further away from success, balance, and personal growth. Today, as Americans juggle endless notifications, responsibilities, and expectations, Aristotle's philosophy is more relevant than ever. By the end of this video, you'll know how to protect your mental energy, eliminate unnecessary choices, and use Aristotle's wisdom to crush your life and business goals with strategy, discipline, and confidence. 3 rules. 3 timeless principles. The transformation starts now. Aristotle believed something most people today overlook. Every decision you make has a cost. Not a financial cost, but a cost in energy, clarity, and emotional stability. In his view, your day isn't shaped by what you do occasionally, but by the constant stream of choices you make from the moment you open your eyes. The irony is that modern life forces us to make more decisions in a single morning than an ancient philosopher made in an entire week. And yet, Aristotle understood the problem perfectly, because the root of it never changed. Human attention is limited. Human willpower is limited. And once those resources are drained, your ability to pursue excellence collapses. Picture a normal American morning. You wake up. You grab your phone. Messages from coworkers, family, and apps are already competing for your attention. You tap through notifications without thinking, but each tap is a tiny withdrawal from your mental account. You open your closet to choose what to wear. You check the weather. You look at your calendar and start mentally rearranging your day. You ask yourself what to eat, when to leave, which route has less traffic, whether you should respond to an email now or later. None of these choices feel dramatic, but Aristotle would say these small choices, when stacked, begin to erode your inner balance. Aristotle taught that humans operate best when their minds are ordered and their habits are structured. He described virtue as the ability to act according to reason instead of impulse, and decision fatigue, at its core, is the loss of that ability. It's the slow decline of discipline. It's the weakening of judgment that comes from constant mental friction. When your mind is overloaded, you don't choose what is excellent. You choose what is easy. The consequences are everywhere today. People eat poorly not because they don't understand nutrition, but because by the end of the day they are mentally exhausted. Employees procrastinate not because they're lazy, but because their decision-making energy is depleted. Leaders make poor strategic choices because they've spent their sharpest hours drowning in trivial tasks. Aristotle warned that a life ruled by disorder leads to poor character. Today, this disorder is digital, fast, and constant. He believed excellence was a state of harmony, what he called the golden mean, the balance between extremes. Not too much choice, not too little, not too much stimulation, not too little. Most modern people live in extremes. Too many options, too much noise, too much urgency, too little clarity, too little intentionality, too little discipline. Aristotle would look at the world today and immediately see the cause of our exhaustion. We expect our minds to operate at full capacity while allowing them to be bombarded with demands that offer no real value. Aristotle believed that the highest human state was eudaimonia, often translated as flourishing or fulfillment. And fulfillment comes not from chaos or emotional reactivity, but from disciplined decision-making aligned with a clear purpose. In his philosophy, your daily routines are not background noise. They are the foundation of your character. That means every small decision you make contributes to the kind of person you are becoming. When your mind is scattered, your character becomes scattered. When your attention is reactive, your life becomes reactive. This is why decision fatigue is not just an inconvenience. It is a threat to your success, a threat to your leadership, a threat to your personal growth. When you're mentally drained, you choose the short term over the long term. You choose comfort over virtue. You choose distraction over discipline. Aristotle warned against living by impulse because impulse leads you away from excellence and toward mediocrity. And mediocrity is simply a collection of small, unexamined decisions that pull you away from your goals. To understand how deep this goes, think about how you feel after a long, overwhelming day. You know you should exercise, but you don't. You know you should read, but you scroll instead. You know you should work on your business idea, but you tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. This isn't a character flaw. It's a clarity flaw. You are out of decision energy. Aristotle would say that your rational faculty is depleted, and once that happens, you lose the ability to pursue excellence. He insisted that a great life requires discipline not just in action, but in the structure of your day, the order of your routines, the environment you create. He believed virtue must become automatic. Just like you automatically reach for your phone when it buzzes, Aristotle wanted your best habits to become just as automatic. Because once excellence becomes a habit, it no longer drains your mental energy, it strengthens it. Modern science agrees. Studies show that people who create consistent routines, reduce unnecessary choices, and eliminate distractions have more energy to make high-impact decisions. Aristotle understood this without a single brain scan. He understood that humans are not designed to face endless choice. We thrive when we operate within clear boundaries, purposeful habits, and well-defined priorities. Consider a simple example. Think of how many successful leaders wear the same style of clothing every day, not because they lack taste, but because they understand that every unnecessary decision steals energy from their most important work. Aristotle would call this the disciplined pursuit of virtue, choosing structure so your mind remains sharp for what truly matters. Decision fatigue also affects your emotions. When your mind is tired, you are more irritable, more anxious, and more easily influenced by others. Aristotle believed that emotional stability was essential for sound judgment. He warned that people who allow their emotions to lead their decisions become inconsistent, unreliable, and ineffective. In today's terms, this means you can't lead a team, run a business, or raise a family effectively if your mind is constantly overwhelmed. Aristotle's teachings reveal a powerful truth. The decisions that drain you the most are rarely the decisions that transform your life. Your energy is too precious to waste on noise. Success requires clarity. Leadership requires discipline. Personal growth requires balance. And decision fatigue destroys all three. The moment you lose clarity, you lose opportunity. The moment you lose discipline, you lose momentum, and the moment you lose balance, you lose yourself. Aristotle would say this is not a problem of intelligence or talent. It is a problem of structure. a problem of intentionality, a problem of letting the world choose for you instead of choosing from your highest self. Now that you understand the root of decision fatigue, the real question becomes, what challenges are keeping you trapped in it today? What forces are stealing your clarity and shaping your decisions without your awareness? In Aristotle's time, life moved slowly. Decisions were fewer, distractions were limited, and focus was a natural part of daily existence. Today, the opposite is true. Modern life is a relentless assault on clarity. It's not just that we make more decisions, it's that we make them in an environment engineered to overload the human mind. Aristotle warned that external forces could corrupt inner virtue. If he lived today, he'd say the world is built to do exactly that. Look at the average American's day. Before most people take their first sip of coffee, they've already been hit with dozens of micro-decisions. Reply to this message or ignore it. Click this notification or swipe it away. Open this email or leave it unread. Pay this bill now or later. Check this app or that app. Respond to the group chat or stay quiet. None of these are meaningful choices, but they carry a mental cost. Each one drains a bit of clarity, a bit of discipline, a bit of emotional energy. These micro-decisions accumulate like sand filling a jar until there's no room for the choices that actually matter. Aristotle believed that the greatest danger to human excellence was fragmentation. A fragmented mind cannot lead. It cannot create. It cannot pursue virtue. And we live in a society built entirely on fragmentation. Your attention isn't just divided. It's pulled, stretched, and monetized. Companies spend billions of dollars competing for your focus because your attention is the most valuable currency in the modern world. In Aristotle's terms, this means you're surrounded by forces that encourage vice, distraction, impulsiveness, imbalance, instead of virtue. Consider how often you shift your focus in a single hour. An email arrives. A text pops up. A co-worker calls. A headline flashes on your screen. A notification drags you into an app you didn't intend to open. Every shift forces your brain to make a new decision, even if it's just, do I check this now or later? Most people underestimate how much this drains their capacity for deep thought. Aristotle understood that great decisions require presence. Modern life pulls you away from presence every minute. This fragmentation also creates emotional fatigue. When your attention is constantly hijacked, your nervous system stays on alert, like a fire alarm that never turns off. You feel rushed even when there's no reason to rush. You feel behind even when you're on schedule. You feel overwhelmed even when you're capable. Aristotle warned that people ruled by emotion instead of reason lose their ability to act with wisdom. Today, many people aren't ruled by their own emotions. They're ruled by the emotional chaos of the digital world. But it doesn't stop there. Modern society also creates an endless illusion of choice. We celebrate choice as freedom, but too much choice becomes paralysis. Aristotle believed freedom was found in discipline, not excess. Yet we live in a world of excess. Excess information, excess options, excess demands. The average grocery store offers over 30 types of cereal. Streaming services offer thousands of shows. Productivity apps promise endless solutions but create more problems. Even simple tasks become mentally heavy because the mind can't sort through so many possibilities without losing clarity. This overload influences not only your decisions but your identity. Aristotle taught that identity is formed through habit, and habit is formed through repeated choices. Today, your identity is constantly pulled in different directions. You want to be disciplined, but your phone tempts you. You want to be productive, but your environment distracts you. You want to pursue success, but the world constantly places noise before purpose. When your environment is misaligned with your goals, even strong character begins to bend under pressure. Modern workplaces intensify this problem. Meetings that should be 5 minutes take 30. Emails that should be 1 sentence become 10. Slack messages, notifications, updates, alerts. Every tool designed to improve productivity ends up draining it. Americans often finish the day with the same feeling: I was busy all day, but what did I actually accomplish? Aristotle would say the answer lies in your attention being consumed by trivial tasks instead of meaningful actions that align with your higher purpose. Even simple responsibilities become overwhelming when decision fatigue sets in. Choosing dinner becomes stressful. Deciding whether to exercise becomes a negotiation. Tackling an important project becomes a battle between desire and exhaustion. Aristotle wrote that humans naturally move toward comfort when their rational energy is depleted. And comfort today is always within reach. The couch, the phone, the snacks, the scrolling, the autopilot habits. Not because people lack willpower, but because they use willpower on the wrong things all day long. There's another trap that Aristotle predicted with stunning accuracy: comparison. In his philosophy, comparing yourself to others pulls you away from your individual path of virtue. But modern life amplifies comparison through social media. You see other people's highlight reels and begin adjusting your decisions not based on reason or purpose, but on emotion and insecurity. Suddenly, your goals aren't yours anymore. They're shaped by what you think you should be doing to keep up. This drains your clarity faster than any to-do list. And then there's the constant pressure to maximize everything. Maximize productivity, maximize efficiency, maximize communication, maximize output. Aristotle believed in moderation. Today's world believes in more. Always more. This obsession creates a state of perpetual pressure where rest feels like failure and doing nothing feels irresponsible. But this constant push leads to burnout, and burnout is simply decision fatigue at scale. When your mind is tired, your decisions decline. When your decisions decline, your results collapse. And when your results collapse, you lose trust in yourself. The harsh truth is that modern life quietly steals your capacity for excellence long before you notice it. You wake up one day feeling disconnected from your goals. You feel older than you are. You feel stuck, not because you lack opportunity, but because your mind is overwhelmed. Aristotle would say you're not living through reason, you're living through reaction. The world chooses for you, and you follow its lead. But within this storm, there's a powerful realization. The problem is not you. The problem is that the modern world is designed to exhaust you. Once you understand this, everything starts to shift, because the same forces that drain you can be dismantled. The same pressures that overwhelm you can be redirected. Aristotle didn't want people to escape the challenges of life. He wanted them to face challenges with clarity, virtue, and strategic discipline. The modern world creates chaos, but chaos can be controlled. Noise can be filtered. Options can be reduced. Clarity can be rebuilt. And once you reclaim your ability to make decisions from a place of strength instead of exhaustion, your entire life begins to change. And there's a point where that change begins, not with dramatic overhauls, but with small, strategic adjustments that restore your mental energy and rebuild your discipline from the inside out. These small shifts create leverage. They create momentum. They create breakthroughs. And once you experience that first glimpse of real clarity, something powerful happens next. Aristotle believed the good life was built through action, consistent, intentional action that transforms your character one day at a time. He taught that you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your habits. And in a world drowning in noise, the smallest habits can become your greatest strategic advantage. Decision fatigue may feel complicated, but Aristotle's solutions are simple, direct, and deeply practical. They don't require radical lifestyle changes. They require alignment, aligning your daily actions with the person you want to become. The first practical principle Aristotle would teach in today's world is the intentional reduction of unnecessary choices. This is not about limiting your freedom. It's about increasing your power. Modern life floods you with options, and every extra option drains clarity, even if you don't realize it. Start by simplifying small decisions that repeat daily. Choose your work outfits in advance. Decide your morning routine once instead of reinventing it every day. Pre-plan your meals for the week so you're not negotiating with yourself at 7 p.m. when your discipline is gone. These aren't trivial hacks. They are strategic moves that free your mind for what truly matters. Aristotle would call this creating a virtuous environment, one that naturally supports wise choices. The second practical step is designing your morning for clarity. Aristotle believed the beginning of anything matters more than the middle or the end. The start of your day sets the tone for your entire mindset. If your morning is chaotic, your decision-making will be chaotic. If your morning is disciplined, your decisions will be disciplined. Begin with something that reinforces virtue, a moment of quiet, a journal entry, a simple breathing exercise, a short walk without your phone. Nothing extravagant, just something that tells your mind, I lead my day, not the world. This one shift reduces decision fatigue more than most people imagine because it creates psychological authority. It reminds you that you are in control. The third principle is minimizing your digital noise. Aristotle didn't have smartphones, but he understood distraction as a threat to excellence. Today, that threat lives in your pocket. Start by disabling non-essential notifications. This single action instantly reduces dozens of daily decisions. Create specific times to check messages and email instead of reacting all day long. Most people don't realize how much energy they lose simply by staying available. Aristotle believed that attention is the gateway to wisdom. If your attention is under attack, all your wisdom gets buried under interruptions. Another critical practice is what Aristotle would call ordering your priorities. Modern productivity advice is obsessed with speed. Do more, faster. Aristotle was obsessed with purpose. Do what matters, better. Start by identifying the 3 decisions each day that truly move your life or business forward. Not the tasks that look urgent, not the things that make you feel busy, but the choices that actually create transformation. Write them down. Attack them early. Protect them fiercely. This reduces decision fatigue because it forces your mind to focus on what matters instead of drowning in trivialities. Clarity is not about doing everything. It's about choosing what deserves your best energy. Another powerful habit inspired by Aristotle is embracing repetition. He believed excellence is formed through repeated action until the action becomes part of your nature. Look at athletes, musicians, or leaders people admire. Their strength doesn't come from inspiration. It comes from repetition until the behaviors that lead to success feel natural. Choose one behavior that pushes your life forward. Reading daily, walking after dinner, shutting off your phone at night, reviewing your goals each morning, and repeat it until it requires no mental struggle. This reduces decision fatigue because the best parts of your life become automatic. Aristotle also emphasized the importance of emotion in decision-making. Not the idea of letting emotions rule you, but understanding that when your emotions are scattered, your decisions follow. A simple emotional reset during the day can restore clarity. Take a moment to breathe deeply. Step outside for a minute. Stretch your body. Put your phone face down and let your mind settle. Most people push through exhaustion with force, but Aristotle believed in regaining balance before continuing. A balanced mind makes better choices. A tired mind makes faster mistakes. Finally, Aristotle taught that humans thrive when they act with purpose, what he called telos. To reduce decision fatigue, you must reconnect your daily actions to your deeper purpose. Why are you pursuing your goals? What kind of person are you becoming through your choices? When you reconnect with your purpose, your decisions become easier because they're filtered through meaning instead of impulse. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop second-guessing. You begin acting from identity instead of emotion. When these small actions combine, simplifying choices, reducing noise, setting morning clarity, protecting priorities, developing repetitions, and reconnecting with purpose, your mind shifts. You stop surviving your day and begin directing it. You stop reacting to life and begin leading it. And something else happens too. Once your clarity returns, your discipline strengthens. And when your discipline strengthens, the world around you begins to change in ways you didn't expect. And there's a deeper level available beyond these habits, a level where clarity becomes strategic, where discipline becomes influence, and where personal growth evolves into leadership. Because once your inner world is ordered, something remarkable becomes possible. Aristotle believed that leadership was not a title, a position, or a privilege. Leadership was a virtue, a way of being, a disciplined state of mind that allowed a person to guide others with clarity, wisdom, and balance. And in today's world, where decisions are rushed, environments are chaotic, and most people operate from emotional impulse, this kind of leadership has become rare. But it's also never been more valuable. When you master your internal decision-making system, you automatically elevate your external influence. People trust you more. They follow you more willingly. They look to you for direction. Aristotle knew that the strongest leader in any room is the one whose mind is ordered. The modern workplace is designed to exhaust leaders. Constant meetings, notifications, quick-turn requests, last-minute fires, fast communication cycles. It's all pressure without pause. But what drains a leader the most isn't workload. It's unclear thinking. It's disorganized priorities. It's decisions made in haste instead of strategy. Aristotle warned that when leaders act on impulse, they weaken the structure of the entire team. When leaders act from virtue, discipline, balance, purpose, they strengthen it. One of Aristotle's most powerful ideas for leadership is the concept of practical wisdom, or phronesis. This isn't theoretical knowledge. It's not academic insight. It's the kind of wisdom that governs real decisions in real situations. Practical wisdom is the ability to choose the right action at the right time for the right reasons. Imagine how valuable that is in business today. Most professionals don't fail because of lack of talent. They fail because they misjudge timing, misread people, or act for the wrong reasons. Leaders who cultivate practical wisdom develop a reputation for consistency and reliability. They make fewer mistakes. They inspire greater confidence. They create stronger outcomes. So how do you build this kind of wisdom? Aristotle said it comes from three things: experience, reflection, and refined habits. Experience alone is not enough. Plenty of people live the same year 20 times without evolving. Reflection without action becomes overthinking. But the union of experience and reflection, backed by disciplined habits, creates extraordinary leaders. Start by reviewing your decisions at the end of each day or week. What worked? What didn't? What felt aligned? What drained your clarity? This reflection sharpens your instincts. It gives you perspective. It reduces impulsive decisions in the future. Most leaders rush from one decision to the next without any form of review. Aristotle would say they are walking in the dark. Another Aristotelian leadership principle is choosing the mean between extremes. In leadership, this means avoiding the extremes of being overly rigid or overly flexible. Too rigid, and you suffocate your team. Too flexible, and you lose authority. Too emotional, and your decisions become unstable. Too detached, and your team feels unsupported. Aristotle believed the best leaders found balance: firm but understanding, structured but adaptable, strategic but human. This balanced leadership style reduces decision fatigue because it removes the inner conflict that drains leaders. When you know your balanced center, decisions become easier. Aristotle also taught that character is contagious. In modern business terms, this means your habits shape your team's habits. Your clarity becomes their clarity. Your discipline becomes their discipline. Your indecision becomes their confusion. A team mirrors its leader more than most people realize. When you create strong personal boundaries, structured mornings, clear priorities, reduced digital noise, your team begins to adopt similar patterns. Leaders often try to fix problems with instructions, policies, or systems. Aristotle would say start by fixing yourself. Your example is the strongest form of leadership strategy. Another advanced Aristotelian strategy for leadership is emotional regulation. Not emotional suppression, but emotional mastery. Aristotle insisted that a leader must be able to feel deeply without being controlled by those feelings. Today, this is essential. Stress, frustration, urgency, pressure, these emotions can erode judgment if left unchecked. Leaders who maintain calm under pressure don't just make better decisions. They elevate the emotional stability of everyone around them. They become anchors. And in a world filled with noise and stress, an anchor becomes a competitive advantage. Aristotle's ideas also shape productivity at the leadership level. He believed productivity wasn't about doing everything. It was about doing the right things with excellence. High-level leaders often drown in operational tasks that someone else should be handling. Aristotle would call this a failure of delegation. Delegation isn't about dumping tasks. It's about empowering others to act with you. It strengthens the team, preserves your strategic energy, and multiplies overall productivity. By releasing low-level decisions, you reserve your clarity for high-impact decisions, the ones that shape your organization's future. Let's bring this into the real American workplace. Think of a team where the leader constantly switches priorities. One day the focus is on sales, the next on branding, the next on internal processes. The team becomes reactive. Stress rises. Productivity falls. Now imagine a leader who communicates clear priorities, acts with balance, applies discipline, and reviews decisions regularly. The team becomes focused, calm, efficient. This is Aristotle in action, virtue shaping outcomes. Another powerful leadership truth Aristotle taught is that opportunity appears only to the prepared mind. Today, opportunities come fast. Market shifts, business openings, new partnerships, rising trends. But if your mind is cluttered from decision fatigue, you won't recognize them. Or worse, you'll hesitate, and someone else will seize the moment. Clarity creates opportunity. Strategy requires clarity. Excellence grows from clarity. Without it, even the best opportunities become invisible. When a leader operates with Aristotelian virtue, clear priorities, balanced decisions, disciplined habits, something remarkable happens. Productivity rises not because of new tools or hacks, but because the team's mental environment becomes healthier. Meetings shorten. Communication improves. Confusion declines. Energy rises. People stop wasting their days putting out fires because the leader has stopped lighting them. And as this transformation unfolds, a deeper shift begins. You transition from someone who manages tasks to someone who shapes direction. From someone who reacts to someone who leads. From someone who merely works in the system to someone who elevates the entire system. And when that shift begins to take root, a new level of personal power emerges, because clarity and leadership are only the foundation. The real transformation comes when these principles reshape not only what you do, but who you are becoming. Aristotle believed that the highest level of human development wasn't success, or intelligence, or even discipline. It was harmony, the alignment between who you are, what you do, and the purpose that drives you. When a person reaches this level, their decisions no longer feel forced. Their actions no longer require constant willpower. Their habits begin to operate automatically, powered by clarity, virtue, and internal strength. This is the state he called eudaimonia, human flourishing, a life where your decisions flow from your identity instead of your exhaustion. Most people live in the opposite state. Their actions contradict their values. Their habits contradict their goals. Their minds are pulled in one direction while their lives are pulled in another. This creates a constant internal friction that drains energy, reduces confidence, and weakens decision power. Aristotle argued that this internal conflict is not a flaw. It's a sign that your life is misaligned, and alignment can be rebuilt. The transformation begins when your daily decisions begin to support the person you want to become, instead of sabotaging that person. Think of how powerful that is. Imagine waking up with a sense of direction instead of pressure. Imagine choosing your priorities without the noise of comparison. Imagine making choices that naturally strengthen your leadership, your career, and your relationships. Aristotle teaches that this is possible, not through dramatic life changes, but through small, consistent acts of virtue repeated over time. One of the deepest truths Aristotle reveals is that discipline becomes effortless when it's tied to identity. When you say, "I'm trying to be more disciplined," the effort feels heavy. But when you say, "I am a disciplined person," the behavior becomes natural. Identity shapes action. Action reinforces identity. This loop becomes self-sustaining. But to enter that loop, you must begin by acting in alignment, even before it feels natural. You build mastery by repeating the decisions that serve your best self until those decisions become your default. At first, the mind resists. Aristotle acknowledged this. He wrote that virtue feels difficult before it feels easy. But once the habit is established, excellence becomes effortless. It's no longer something you chase. It's something you live. And it's at this stage, when your habits align with your purpose, when your identity strengthens, when clarity becomes your normal state, that your world begins to change. Not gradually, dramatically, because now every decision compounds in your favor. Every day stacks progress instead of fatigue. Every choice builds momentum instead of stress. You begin noticing opportunities that were always there but previously invisible. You take actions that others hesitate to take because their minds are clouded. You lead with calm authority while others lead with stress. You think strategically while others react emotionally. This is the transformation Aristotle wanted for every human being, becoming a person capable of navigating life with wisdom, balance, virtue, and quiet strength. At this level, success becomes a byproduct. Leadership becomes intuitive. Productivity becomes strategic instead of frantic. Your relationships grow deeper because you're no longer operating from exhaustion. Your career accelerates because your judgment improves. Your confidence rises because your actions consistently reflect your values. You begin to trust yourself, not from ego, but from experience. You've proven through repeated action that you can rely on your mind, your habits, and your decisions. And something else happens too. You stop fearing change. Most people fear change because their lives lack structure. Their decisions lack clarity. Their identity is unstable. But when your habits are strong and your mind is clear, change becomes opportunity. It becomes possibility. It becomes expansion. Aristotle believed that virtuous people are naturally drawn to growth. They don't cling to the familiar. They move toward what strengthens them. The final stage of transformation is when you realize you no longer need constant motivation. You no longer need to hype yourself up. You no longer need endless reminders. Your life runs on principles, not impulses, on discipline, not decision fatigue, on strategy, not chaos. You build days that serve your future instead of sabotaging it. You begin experiencing the quiet confidence of someone who leads their life instead of managing their exhaustion. This is mastery, not perfection, not pressure. Mastery, in Aristotle's view, is simply living in alignment. It's the moment when your choices reflect your purpose. It's the moment when your habits build your character. It's the moment when you stop drifting and start directing. And once you reach this state, even if imperfectly, you will never see the world the same way again, because mastery shows you what you were capable of all along. It reveals that excellence was never a mystery. It was never a secret gift reserved for a few. It was simply the product of clarity, virtue, discipline, and intentional decision-making repeated consistently over time. And once you taste that level of transformation, you naturally begin seeking more. You naturally begin thinking bigger, acting smarter, and leading with greater purpose. Transformation is not a switch. It's a climb. But once you reach the vantage point where every decision strengthens your identity instead of draining it, the path forward becomes unmistakably clear. And from that point on, everything rises. Aristotle taught that success is not determined by luck, talent, or circumstance. It's determined by clarity, disciplined habits, and the courage to choose the right action even when the easy one is available. Decision fatigue dissolves the moment your life becomes aligned, when your identity, your values, and your behavior all move in the same direction. That's how you build excellence. That's how you build leadership. And that's how you build a life that feels powerful, intentional, and fully yours. If there's one message to walk away with today, it's this: your decisions shape your destiny. Every small choice you make, every moment of discipline, every moment of clarity, every moment of restraint, builds the structure of the person you will become. And when you choose with wisdom, your entire life begins to rise with you. If you want more videos that go deeper into Aristotle's wisdom, on the left, Aristotle's Secret, the 3 steps to master your life, a fast, powerful breakdown of how to rebuild your mindset. Or on the right, The Secret to Happiness, Why Modern Life is a Lie. It exposes the biggest trap of modern success culture. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a comment sharing which insight hit you hardest today. Thank you for being here.